Alright, I decided to take a break from working on the pipe itself and just play around with some rustication methods. I made some nail tools, which I've posted a video about. I also have it's a 3/8 or a 3-inch rather Craftsman fine wire wheel. You can use a coarse also, I bet, for a slightly different effect. Obviously a more coarse effect. But I've been playing around with little scraps of briar, and basically if I use the nail tool to twist, I get this rustication here, and I could probably, be a little more aggressive with it and get more of it. If I use just the wire wheel in a straight line, you get these kind of long, deep, somewhat deep grooves that are pretty neat looking. Also, if you've got some good grain, the grain kind of shows through that pretty well. Here I use the wire wheel at two different directions, and it just leaves a little stubbly, bumpy kind of texture. What I've also done is, this is the nail tool rustication, and then I've hit it with the wire wheel just lightly in a few different directions to kind of smooth it out some. And then here I use the wire wheel only in one direction after the nail tool, and looks pretty nice. I think this is going to be similar here to something like the Savinelli Capri root briar, their coral rustication. It's kind of similar to that, although I think they may go with a Dremel first and give it an even deeper texture and then put this on top of it. So I've got those. I've also been messing with this one. Instead of just going in with the wire wheel in one direction, I've kind of turned the piece in different directions as I go to give it a more, I guess, a less uniform and straight parallel look, but still give it that same kind of texture that kind of twists and moves around other things. And been messing with similar sort of thing on this block, and then on the back, using it to get a few different directions worth. I think you can actually almost see some the growth rings, the ring grain. If you look here, here, and here, if you had a sandblaster, that would come out a lot more. And they're spaced far apart, probably because of the angle this is cut on in the orientation of the grain. But yeah, they're definitely growth rings, because you can see this top one. Hope you can see it. There's a top one here that continues onto this side right there, but they meet right at this corner here. So a wire wheel actually can bring out some ring grain, which is neat, but no ring grain going to be on this because of the grain orientation. I'm kind of leaning toward right now doing a wire wheel after the nail tool, just because the way some of these spots are, they really need some deeper kind of rustication. Maybe it would be interesting to pick up the coarse wheel as well and see what that does. I may do that before I decide on a final finish. Cheers.
Alright, I got some Dremel work done on these two blocks to try out some more textures, and I'm going to do the wire wheel on top and see what happens.
Well, here we are. This one I made some grooves on and then ran the wire wheel perpendicularly. This sort of almost looks like a ring grain, like a fake ring grain kind of. And just gives it a little bit deeper texture than the wire wheel on its own. And then this one, I did a kind of diagonal waffle sort of pattern almost. I guess a reverse waffle. And then I ran the wire wheel straight this way, with the diagonal grooves running across each other that way. And you can just barely see that texture underneath, but then the surface texture of the wire wheel, which is pretty nice. I may play around with this stuff a little bit more and see if I can find something nice. After messing around with it for a bit, I think I'm going to stick with the nail tool. I've got this old pipe that I practiced on with a big hole in the shank. But this is a nail tool on the front of the bowl, and then just lightly going over with the wire wheel at different angles and directions, so you don't get any like one direction dominating. On the other hand, this is the same nail tool, and then the subtle difference is just one direction with the wire wheel, so you can see it horizontally traveling across. So I'm going to pick one of those and go with it.